investing. Dylan, I'm 12 years old. Frank, old guy, RAI. And, of course, you have me, Happy Jack. Today we're going to talk about when you start to leave the grind phase and you start to enter more into the operator phase. And is there a hole in ORAT? Because I don't know about you guys, but it seems to me that it's focused on the beginners and the gurus, and there's a gap. And this isn't just ORAT. I'm just using them as an example because we're all part of it. But this is a big thing with like 90+% of all real estate channels is that there's a huge gap between the people that are after the 5 years and going between the 5 and 10 years. So, what do you guys think?
I wonder what is ORAT for people who don't know.
It's one rental at a time.
It's a school community created by Michael Suber. I think he was an economist by trade, but he's also a real estate investor. And he's somebody that's been, alongside working the W2 for the last, 26 years. Then became this person who was also a multimillionaire through real estate.
And if you ever want to make him mad, just tell him that he got lucky.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I feel like anybody will get mad at that.
You know what? I wouldn't, but that's a topic for a different episode because I can go on a little bit of a rant for that one.
All right.
Why not now? Like, go.
So, with the question on this topic, are we essentially saying that there's we have like this huge area where we mainly have a lot of people that are getting started in the process, and there's a few people that are already done, but this section in between, like, how
exactly.
do we know we're trending towards right? Okay, just clarifying for myself.
Yeah, chances are that you're not like looking up how to invest in real estate or what are the difference between FHA, conventional, or the SCR. Like, where should I get funding? Like, majority of those things you probably heard 100 times. You probably keep hearing about it. So there's like this gap of like the talk of what you do in the middle.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Frank, you've been investing for how many years now?
We're in year 6.
So
well, like right. I don't want to hear that
this time around. But yeah, we've had that conversation over the last few months. Jack and I talked about it the other day, and I did talk to Dion, and I brought this up to him a while back, and he was saying that part of it is because a lot of investors don't make it to this point, right? They give up just before things are going to turn up, as he says, on that hockey stick of his. But and another part of that I've struggled with is when we share all of our trials, it feels like we're talking people out of investing in real estate versus them understanding we're sharing this so that they can make their journeys shorter or less painful, maybe. And I know there are some people in the community that seem to have done everything perfectly, but I don't think that's the real truth. And I appreciate you guys for always sharing your hard times as well as the good times. I know we've all had good times, but I think people learn more from the other side. They learn more from our mistakes than from our wins.
Yeah, any of us can share, oh, I bought this property for this and I rented it out for this. What you want to hear is how I spent like an extra $90,000 on a property I didn't think I was going to spend. And we had to figure out how to find that money. Like those are the things that I think are more helpful for people. Or like, oh, my AC unit went out and that's $10,000. Like that sucks because for a lot of properties, $10,000 is more than the cash flow for the entire year. So you're looking at yourself like, oh, so now I have to work the whole year and I don't get to make any money. Are you serious? But it gets a lot better. And I think that's the message. Like, Lynn, you haven't pulled out money from your portfolio since you really started. You're just now getting to the point where you're almost able to, or are you saving for reserves right now?
Saving for reserves right now. So like, no. So when I started investing, I didn't know about the 5-year stock, which like 2 years into investing, I was just like, oh, that makes sense. The 5-year stock, you're like, because the first year I think I had it like easier. I guess it went very smoothly. So when I like started doing more, we're like, oh, actually, this is like thousands of dollars every single month. And thankfully, I do have a job, and thankfully, I do have a high income, a job that can sustain like all of these expenses. And but when year two, I went to the community and like, okay, the 5 years are gonna suck. So a lot of people don't know that, right? That they're gonna go into this investment journey and then they're gonna. It's not passive like the biggest lie that they said. It's like it's passive. It's something that's gonna require. It's gonna require a lot of work. It's gonna require a lot of education for you, and it's gonna require a lot of pivots for you as well. So I think that was like the biggest teaching from Aura from the community that like, okay, I'm just gonna prepare for the talk for the next 5 years then, if that's the case. Do I think it's worth it? Yeah, of course I think it's worth it. But giving that expectation from the get-go, it's like it's very necessary.
I think if people go into that with that mindset, that like you were talking about, Frank, where you're explaining like what's going on for you guys in the portfolio as you're building, and you know the things that suck that come up. A lot of people that are looking at real estate as a way to quit their job in a few years, they might just pivot to the next thing that's shiny, and they're like, oh, I can quit working within a few years if I do this instead. While we have examples in our community, and that's the great part about we have people all the way from don't even have a door yet to, I mean, we've got people with hundreds of doors in the community. Just seeing that progression of, okay, it like they're not making anything right now, it gets significantly better, you know?
Yeah, I wonder. Well, Jack, did you have more thoughts on it before I ask my next question?
I think the only thing I'd like to add to it is a lot of people going with what Dylan said, they see the mental bandwidth and stuff and they get burned out because they're trying to go too fast, trying to get to the end goal. And then they're just like, well, screw this. I can maybe not make as much or make more depending on how I do it when I was a stock trader, and they go to like the stock market or Bitcoin or something like that.
Yeah, that kind of ties into what I was going to ask you guys, because sometimes, like you mentioned, if you have to put in a furnace or something, and we've had to do that in our property, one of our properties last year, and that's like whatever it was, $10,000. So somebody who invests in other things might think, wow, that's really stupid. You wasted 10 grand and you could have put your money over here and at least started making some money. But do you guys feel like maybe, like I wonder for myself, maybe did I make the wrong investment? Because how long is it going to take me to recover $10,000, especially in the markets that we're in, where you bought the house for $100,000, right? So you're making a couple $100 a month positive cash flow, and that's going to take you, 65 years to make your money back or something like that. I still
65 years.
and I still, I mean, I'm still in, right? Because even if I put that $10,000 in now, but it helps stabilize the property for us later on, $200 a month this year and increasing hopefully over the years. I think that $10,000 could have gone away quickly. For me, I always talk about my work vans, right? If it needs an engine, that's 10 grand. So that money, I would never get a return on that money. But if I have it in the property, at least I will be getting something, and we'll live on whatever cash flow we're getting in 5 or 10 years, So somebody brought it up, like front loading your future. right? So because when you buy a property, you might have some reserves, but you haven't built up reserves from the property, and you won't for a few years, right? Enough to pay for that $10,000 furnace or whatever it's going to be. So in the beginning, that hurts a lot. And I was like, I'm doing something wrong because I'm still putting all this money out, and the $200 trickling in each month just didn't sit right. But like I said, I know it's going to help us in the future, and I'm not going to give up. But other people looking from the outside in would think, wow, that guy's really dumb. He could have put all this money someplace else, even in a high yield savings account, and done better than he's doing now. But I just wonder what you guys think about that kind of thing.
I think we've all been in that boat where we wanted to quit because of repairs and stuff. And I think you have to look at that. There's almost three different ways you can look at this. You have to look at it in the long-term goal, because like what you're just doing. So like you put the furnace in, you put the roof on, and you know that you're good for like another 20 to 30 years minus a hot water tank, and it should just be cash flowing minus like little things and turnovers and that kind of stuff. And there's always going to be problems along the way, but we know our numbers, and we know that we're making the right decision, and we know that we're making money at it. And that's basically what you're just saying, Frank. And the second way is the people that we were talking about too is the ones that see all that and just like, oh well, that's not for me because it's just too much headache, it's too much mental bandwidth, and then they switch into a high yield savings account, stocks, Bitcoin, or classic cars or anything else. But the other way, and this way gets overlooked a lot, and if it wasn't for Dion, I probably would have never thought of it this way. You have to decide on certain properties, and Frank, you've gone through this, and I'm going through this at the moment, where you get a property that is just so time consuming and your repair list where you're like, okay, this one needs to go. Because even though it could be like a semi truck that you did a in-frame rebuild, and for those of you that don't know that with semi trucks you can rebuild the motor without pulling the motor, and you can shove all new components into it. That's what an in-frame rebuild is. But basically, it's like a new truck, and that's kind of what I do a lot, and that's what Lynn does with the BRRRR strategy. I do value add, and that's kind of what we're doing. But I was lucky enough to get a Turd Bandit, and literally when I was looking at it this year, I'm going to have in repairs up to this point, I have $30K wrapped up into this property, not including the down payment stuff. $30K worth of repairs, and it's going to need about another 50 to 60K. So that's going to put me at 80 to 90K. Well, the place is only worth 120. So when you throw my down payment on it, that puts me up over 100K, pushing 110. So it's like this property just isn't really worth it because I still have the mortgage on top of all that, which is there's 40-some thousand left on it. So yeah, so that's why I'm kicking this one, because I can take the equity, debt hammer out half my debt, and go buy another rental property that cash flows the same in a different market that I'm also very familiar with.
We have a lot of comments coming in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get down far enough where I can see them, but I can't.
No, I totally understand that it feels like it's more of a drag while you're building than it feels like you're like actually building something for yourself in the future. But the way I think about it is like, 12 properties, 12 roofs, right? If each roof costs me $10,000, $120,000, and that's like in the higher end of whatever will cost me, right? Then it goes down to like furnaces. That's 3,000 for me, my market. Then water heaters, that's 1,500. Then flooring, that's about $3 to $4 per square feet. Like if I keep tallying up everything, there's going to be a cap in which, like, if let's say everything goes wrong, I think what Dion said, like the most that he spent on 1 year on like vacancy or capex has been like $35,000, something around the lines of that. What I'm thinking is like, because when, like Jack says, I'm like front loading, or a lot of the repairs, for example, roofs, I have like 5 roofs I'm not going to have to worry about for the next, I hope, 25 years or 30 years, right? On furnaces, I have 6 furnaces. I'm not going to have to worry about that because, they're new, right? They're all new. So there should be some kind of stability, at least on 5 properties. I know everything else can go wrong and the other properties, but I do think when you're spending on those particular big ticket items, they are not just money you're kind of like losing, kind of like when you go to the restaurant, you eat, your food is like done, and then you take a dump afterwards. Like that's gone. But in the property, they stay. So they're gonna be like they're gonna be there. And also not only that, gives you like options. Now you have a bigger portfolio, right? You had a problematic property that you had to sell, and I think your portfolio is in a better shape because of it, because you sold a property. But let's say, like right now, it might seem that you're not moving the needle very much so, but you do have like a lot of options. Like if you, for example, sell your residence and you decide to use that money into house hacking, technically, you could probably, the portfolio could probably sustain itself, even though if you decided to work part time or full time or whatever, like it could sustain yourself, and then over time rents are going to go up and those things are going to compound. Like for in my situation, I have said that I have not taken any pennies out of the cash flow whatsoever. Like it's going to be 4 years since September this year. 1 cent, like nothing is going to my pocket whatsoever. I'm just deploying. And then this is the first year I'm supposed to be more buying. So I want to save that 1 year of reserves, that number. I want to hit the number before I even go and take the cash flow that I'm getting, because I'm foreseeing something's going to go bad during the year. Like I'm probably gonna replace the furnace. I'm probably gonna replace the water here. I'm probably gonna turn over 1 or 2 units because I'm foreseeing that I'm thinking, maybe next year I'll be able to actually take some cash flow out of the properties.
No, that makes sense. I think that's the part that people really need to pay attention to when they're looking at wanting to do this, is that it's not something immediate. Like when you, Frank, for example, when you were talking about having that $10,000 expense and $200 in cash flow per month, well, that's the one property, and that's now. Over the next few years, that 200 could be $3, then $4, then $500 a month in cash flow, and now it's a significantly better situation. Something that I do for my portfolio that I think is a good thought exercise for anybody that does look at like these bigger expenses like furnaces, or I just did some concrete work, which is pretty expensive to do, or replacing AC units or anything like that. I look at the portfolio on a global scale instead of just individual properties. Back when I had the one property, if I had a $5,000 expense, it was a really big deal because that's the cash flow for like 5 months. But now I have 2 properties. And when I have a $5,000 expense, that's only 2 months worth of cash flow now, but between the 2 properties. So as I continue to accumulate properties, these inconveniences, replacing a furnace or replacing a water heater or having to do a tenant turn, yes, there are more of them, but it's kind of like I build up this this cash machine, I guess, that just refills a I don't know if I mentioned it. I look at it kind of like an insurance company. So like it just refills the float to take care of all the things that can go wrong in the portfolio. So once that's full to a certain point, you have to determine if you want to keep adding to it. But I think more than 10, 15 grand in that just doesn't make sense for my portfolio. So like once I hit that number, I can just start taking out all of that money to then go buy other properties with. But ideally, that's the reserves that I have between the two. And the reason I have that number and not like 20 or 30 grand is because I have a partner on one building. So the majority of the issues would be his on that one. And then my other building, I just used my reserves. So I got to save those up again.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, like, because it's been now a few years since you bought your first property, I'm sure the first property that you bought has appreciated a little
Mhm.
bit somehow. And even though the interest rates right now are like high, you could still potentially, like, say you are short of cash, or you something has happened in the household that you need like $30,000 for. You could go and refinance the property, and maybe that will be a break even property or whatever. But if like that situation presents itself, you can go and do that, right? And that's another option that you have.
Yeah, well, and something we also don't look at when we look at like the actual cash flow. I mean, I try to pay attention to this, but it's something that just creeps up every so often is looking at the principal pay down. Because I don't pay attention to that too much because the payments just go out every month. It's whatever. Um, but periodically I look at that and I look at the mortgage balance and I'm like, oh, geez, this building I'm paying off $200 a month. This building I'm paying off $200 a month. That's $5,000 a year in principal pay down that I wasn't even really paying attention to. Now you build that up to 12 properties, you could be making like 30 grand a year in principal pay down alone, not including any of the other benefits that you have with real estate, like depreciation. And if you have a job or you have a business, the fact that you can still write off up to 25K a year uh, for real estate. So essentially, like, you're not paying taxes on the real estate income. And I think it kind of helps with my actual taxes too. But yeah, there's a lot of benefits that well, there's a lot of benefits besides just the cash flow aspect, if that makes sense. But you all know that. You guys have been doing this for a long time.
I think it's fun to
Remember.
remember when you first started out, if you can, right? Because we forget so quickly what it was really like when we started out. But I was going to say, like Dylan just mentioned, going through and checking your principal balances each year and just seeing, how far it went down. That I think that helps keep us motivated. It helps us see progress. And also talking about reserves and things, I think one thing that's important is that we make sure each property carries itself, right? Each property can pay for itself, not I have this dog, but I have these other three that are making the whole package look good. Um, so I think that's where I like to start out. But then it is helpful if you have, say you have four singles or whatever, and you have a vacancy, right? Then the other three help. It's just like having a fourplex, right? If you have one vacancy, the other three units help with that. So that's nice. And that's kind of a tough spot because when somebody's thinking about starting, I always think, well, it's nice to start with a single, but if you could get two, that might help you when one is vacant or something like that. Um, so there's a lot of different ways to think about that, and I think you can think about, like you said, your whole portfolio, Dylan, and that's a great way to think about it. As long as you make sure that each property could carry itself, if it was your only one.
Yeah, we're not carrying along any of them. Each of them need to be able to stand on their own. I just like to think about it in terms of the expenses or like saving for the total reserves for everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot faster if you have multiple properties to save $10,000-$15,000 for reserves. Whereas if you're doing that on $200 a month just from one property, you're not going to be taking out any cash flow for a really long time. You know?
Yeah, and then you were talking about, and Dion does the same thing. He'll talk about, if I had to replace all my roofs in 1 year, how much would that cost? And that might be a target for reserves. But like in your case, if just say if your whole if all your properties needed something in 1 year and that was, say, $100,000, could you be okay with letting that $100,000 sit in your account and not be tempted to spend it on another property?
I think you have to be, because then you get to see the other side of the equation when you need the 100 and you don't have the 100.
I think it's very easy for me because when I think personal expenses, like my personal expenses are different than my business. So my personal is like very easy for me to never touch because that's like in case of like something really bad happens. But oh, Flavio, my favorite channel. You say that to everybody. Anyways, my business is really easy for me. Like, oh, we have like $8,000 this month. Let me go and like do something else, deploy it. Yeah, that's my downfall.
Speaking about Flavio, I'm going to throw us through a left turn real quick. I just watched the episode of Marks, I think it was from last week, where Emily and MJ were talking Spanish to Flavio, and it made them all happy.
I didn't watch that episode. I have to.
I think it's from last week.
Oh, okay.
The one I'm missing is the one with All Nighter.
Mm,
I did notice we had quite a few people saying hi in the chat, and I don't know if we want to go through and
no.
no.
Yeah, I can't see them. So
No.
if you guys
I'm
could just.
joking.
Yeah, so we got Jonathan. Jonathan posted in here multiple times, but hey, Jonathan, I don't know if you're still here. Welcome. I see the Yoder, Melvin Yoder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
School community. Yeah, I remember talking to him and at ORAT. Really nice guy. Said he's demoing an old bathroom for mold. Wear a mask.
Yeah.
And then Steven from the Bronx. What's going on?
Oh, that's Steven. Hey, Steven.
I think a lot of people think mold and they think like, oh my God, as long as it's not black mold, guys, you'll be fine.
You can just spray it with bleach, wipe it off.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, don't worry about that.
I just saw somebody, I follow this guy, he buys like RV parks and he bought this RV park for $5,000, like a unit in the RV park. And it came out with black mold. Basically, the person that owned it wanted to just get rid of it because they didn't want to touch it. And he's like, oh, I turned this into a cash cow. And I'm like, okay, you're more brave than I am.
My business partner on the apartment building, he got a house for $25K because investors didn't want to touch it because it had black mold in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. He was like, so I hired somebody to go in there, clean it up. I remodeled the place, and now it's worth like $150.
Yeah,
that doesn't suck. I see that
the next up and coming thing.
I see that Jim is showing off. He said hello.
I know, so
must be nice, Jim. Must be nice.
Make sure you check out some real estate while you're there.
Yes, there might be some deals. Is it? Do you guys know if it's like? Because I know when my grandparents were buying something in Belize, it was mostly cash is what they wanted, and there was like some seller carry, but they didn't really have any mortgages. Do you know? Do any of you know if Mexico has anything similar? I don't know.
I think if you marry a Mexican, you probably can get a house there with bank loans.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
the down significantly higher.
Yeah, I just knew it was like really difficult to get anything financed in Belize. We had to do owner financing.
So you have a family house in Belize?
Yes.
How come I never heard about this?
Well, it's a condo. It's not a house. It's a condo. But yeah, it's on Ambergris Key, which is just one of the islands. It's interesting that country, the majority of people speak English. Mm-hmm. Because it was wasn't it a British or a French colony?
I think British colony.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, Jim, you're going to the airport. Underwater real estate. Now that's my stuff right there. I like to see that. Hopefully you got some lionfish too while you were there.
I think there's a lot of investors underwater.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it just depends. I talked to somebody yesterday about a deal they have. It's an apartment building. They have like an 8.5% interest rate, and they are cash flowing right now. And I was like, man, when you can refinance, that thing is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Wonder how much they'll be able to increase the value. Were they turning units, or had they had it for a while?
No, I think they bought it last year in October, and they plan on doing a refinance or cash out refinance this coming October. They're just like essentially increasing the rents on the property, redoing the roof, the siding outside, painting the parking lot, doing the seal coating and stuff like that, and line striping, just making it look nicer before they go do that refi.
Nice. Where was that one at?
California, I believe it's what is that city? It starts with an F. Fresno.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say his name because I don't know if he wants everybody to know, but yeah, he's in school. We were just talking about plans for the refi. Foreigners cannot own land in Mexico. Is that true?
I think when I was looking at it, I don't know, this is in Quintana Roo that I was looking at it. That's the west side of Mexico. From foreigners cannot own 14 miles away. Like it starts at 40 miles away from the beach, you can own. But you cannot own any beachfront properties.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I've been to places where the citizens can't even own the land too. So, I mean, it is what it is. You just get a 100-year lease. I'm sure everybody knows yeah, I'm sure everybody knows where that is. I think Thailand's very similar too, in that the government leases the land to people.
That's another option. You guys can move to Thailand if you want to lower your cost of living.
Yeah.
You can.
Just get your cash flow to like 40, 50 grand a year.
Yeah.
After a few years, and then move to Thailand.
How hard is it to be able to stay permanently?
I don't know. I know you can get. I'm pretty sure they have a golden visa that you can get. It just depends on how much that costs. I know if your income hits certain thresholds, it's pretty easy to get like residency visas and stuff, though.
I think in Portugal, if you show anywhere that you're getting $2,000 a month for any type of account of investments, you can live there with the residency visa. Yeah.
We were looking at Australia since our son lives there now, but it's hard. It would be hard for Cynthia and I to go there and live permanently. It seems like a lot of the other countries don't let everybody in like the United States does. They're a lot smarter than we are.
Yeah. Well, I know Australia is really strict on some of the stuff that can get brought in too.
It's also not lower cost of living, is it? Like
No.
It's pretty high up there.
Yeah, for Australia, where he's at, I mean, as far as rents and things go, they're about half of what they are here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does he not live in any of the major cities?
They live about 20 minutes outside of Melbourne.
Oh, okay. That's a major city. I'm surprised because every time I hear people talking about Australia, they talk about how every house is like over $1 million and nobody can buy.
I watch International House Hunters, and it's always like 1,700,000, 800K, and it's nowhere near the beach either.
Yeah. No, well, Sydney, it obviously is out there towards the ocean, but where they're at, he's been sending us properties, and they have some nice stuff between, I would say, around 400,000 and 500,000, and they actually rent. They rent a 3-bedroom, 1 or 2 bath, and it's $1,800 a month. And here, that would be like $3,600 a month where we're at near Santa Cruz. But
yeah, 3.2 here rents for about that as well. So rents are half here as well if you want to move to Indiana.
Yeah, not too far. You can live in one of my houses. I'll let you pick.
Yeah, you could move. You could be the king of. Well, you can't be the king of Gary because we already have one. But
Yeah.
you can pick a different role.
Yeah, I think what Lynn, you were talking about roofs and stuff. What have you paid for roofs there in Gary? In St. Louis, they're about $4,000 for our properties.
The first roof I paid was $5,000. Then after that, it's trending up. Which is like not that much time ago, 8,000, 9,000. My more expensive roof was $15,000. That was a duplex. That was 2-story. So it's a flat roof, not only, but it's very tall duplex, like very, very tall duplex.
Yeah. So on that one, they probably did something like TPO or TPR or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that stuff's pretty expensive. But
yeah, but on average, I would say $8,000 to $9,000 over 1,200 square feet. Probably a little bit less if it's like a smaller house.
yeah, ours are usually, the last one we did was 1,000 square feet, 3-bedroom, and that was 4,000. But
That's
the
cheap.
other thing I was thinking was, a lot of people talk about how harsh the weather is and that the roof might not last 10 years. So when we're setting aside for reserves, we probably want to keep that in mind too. Here in California, well, if you get a 35-year roof, it might actually last 35 years because our weather is so mild. But that same roof out there might last half as long.
I don't know. Dylan has lived his life all the time in Indiana. So what is your roof knowledge?
Yeah, well, if you get a 30-year roof, it's not it'll last longer than 10 years. I feel like people tend to start replacing stuff around like 15 to 20. So it's not as, you don't get as much duration out of it as you would somewhere else where you don't have the snow and everything like that all the time. I think it definitely causes issues. Like I was looking at my duplex triplex, and I think I'm gonna have to do a roof sometime soon, which is awesome. But mine is 2 stories, so it's probably gonna be pretty expensive.
Is
Yeah.
that your business partner, the Yoder?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's Melvin. He's in the school chat.
Oh, okay.
Black mold behind the tile. Double vapor barrier.
Don't you have to do double vapor barrier?
Do you do double vapor? Well, I mean, Frank would know. Do you
Yeah.
do double vapor barriers?
I think a double vapor barrier is not always a good thing because the mildew might grow between the vapor barriers. It's just like 2 sheets of water resistant material, and then it sweats between those two, and then things can grow in there. Yeah. With the way things are built, or all the materials that are available today, we don't even use a vapor barrier because they apply that waterproofing membrane to like sheets of tile backer board and things. So that's the vapor barrier, and it's on the tile side, not the interior wall side. So that's usually better.
Makes sense.
Where did Jack go?
I don't know.
I'm having some technical difficulties with my phone. It got hot. I wasn't thinking about how I thought it was cool enough still outside that I wouldn't have to run my vehicle, but apparently it decided to overheat.
So, Frank, are you doing any restructuring or anything in your portfolio right now? I know you got rid of one of the properties. What's the next moves looking at for you guys?
Well, I was thinking about, your topic today being in the middle. I think with selling that one, we're just trying to keep everything else full. We're going through an eviction in Gary, by the way. We had a vacancy in our triplex in Missouri that someone just moved in there a day or two ago, so that's nice. So once we get through the eviction in Gary, our court date is the 20th of this month, April, and then hopefully get a good tenant in there and just let things ride. I don't see us really making any moves as far as buying anything or anything like that in case some weird deal fell in our lap. I wouldn't pass anything like that up for sure, but I think and we had 4 to 5 months of 4 to 5 decent months where we were able to start saving some, I wouldn't call it cash flow, but cash that was getting all saved for reserves. And then the eviction and the turnover kind of swallowed that up. So again, hopefully once they're filled back up again and we'll be able to start saving that. That was a relief because that didn't come out of our pocket per se, right? Mm-hmm. All the stuff that happened before, we were supporting it with our income, but this time we had around 12,000 saved up and we were able to pay for everything out of that. So it didn't really hurt, although it did suck to spend it. But I look forward to that again, being able to build up reserves again, and just hopefully nothing will happen. And if those periods last longer and longer, I think we'll be better and better. But yeah, just kind of hanging on and stabilizing and trying to save as much as we can.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, that's all I've been doing the past year as well, is just focusing on stabilizing and stuff. Mm-hmm. I do think it does get significantly better with time, though. Like when I first bought my property, it didn't cash flow nearly as much as it does now, and I just look forward to that number to keep going up.
Well, I think that's why also it seems like there's a gap in the real estate groups between the 5 and 10 years, is because we're finally switching from the grind state to the operator state. And we're finally getting more levers that we can actually pull and take advantage of. And I wouldn't say that we're definitely not grinding, but it's just we're kind of putting our heads down. We see these levers, and we're just trying to do that final last surge to get us across the finish line. And I think that's why, although it seems like there's a gap in the 5 to 10 years, there really isn't. It's just we're all just busy pulling the levers that we finally have at our disposal. And, just to get us across the finish line. Like, I noticed this year that, this year that last year was actually the beginning of the hockey stick for me. And I never realized it until I actually sat down and looked at it.
Yeah. It's just, interesting to finally start seeing things going a specific way, but at the same time, like, we're not at the phase anymore, and I think this might be part of what you're getting at, is like, we don't need to learn a lot of new information from people as far as like how to buy a property or running numbers or anything like that. Like, that's all I would say more juvenile at this point. Like, we're just looking at, hey, where can I move money to the next deal? Or how can I make my systems better? Or when's going to be the opportune time to buy the next property and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just a whole different phase to be in, because don't really relate with the same problems as like when people are first getting started. But I am definitely not at the point, where like, oh yeah, I got like 50K in the reserves and I'm just chilling. I don't have to do anything this week.
I know.
Not there yet.
Yeah. I think I just hit, like, for the first time, 10K on reserves. And I'm like, oh, I have so much money, like, on the reserves, that anything and I'm not paying contractors anymore. So it feels like nobody touched this kind of thing. But yeah, no, I'm thinking like the hardest part, I feel like, is staying put. And like you said, like, we're not growing or trying to scale anymore. I think Dylan kind of might be, but not like as fast. And so it's just like the hard part of like trying to make sure all the rents hit on the 1st or by the 15th, try to make sure you're getting this rent reimbursements, asking like what expenses. I know you guys self-manage too, but asking why are the expenses that are getting discounted, right? Like, why did you send the handyman, even though like it's like a $50 job? Like, why did you just send it? Like, what was happening? Well, trying to find out what the tenant was complaining about, and they can tally up, like, okay, that was the second time this year somebody clogged the bathroom or a drain was clogged. I'm like, what's going on with that? Like, maybe they need more education. It's like the optimizing and reviewing, the administrating, and being the manager for the manager too. Like, it's all about that right now, and that's the boring stuff. But it's the stuff that's going to get us to $50,000 in reserve, and not worrying about like getting cash flow or getting a big ticket item because we have it in the bank.
Yeah. I think being in this stage too, well, at least for me, we're able to dig into things and research things. Like you said, Lynn, before, we were just hanging on. Whatever bill came in, we just paid it to try to keep things moving. But now, since we don't have much else to do, we're like, hey, wait a minute. Didn't I just pay this last month? Why are you sending it to me again? Or, didn't the tenant put in a request for this, a couple months ago? Why, like you said, we just did that again. We had to clean out a sewer line, and we did it. It was 2 years ago when we bought the property that we had it done, and they found a soft clog. So now that I have time, I'm wondering, well, what kind of a soft clog was it? Is it something that tenant threw down the toilet? So we have time to do things like that, which is probably a lot of things we should have done in the beginning, right? But we were just buying, trying to get to a certain place. And now, like you said, Dylan, I think I personally have really just stopped watching a lot of stuff. I was watching everything. I was trying to be in every meeting, and that was taking up a lot of time, and I needed it at the time, but now I don't. So I hope it doesn't sound strange, but I almost have to think, what value is this going to bring me? If it's not going to bring me any value, I'm not going to sit here for an hour or 6 hours, chatting with these guys about nothing, when there's other things that I should be concentrating on that might either bring in a different stream of income or help me better manage the properties. There isn't a lot of that content right now. It's like you said, it's either for the beginners or it's our mentors who are done, right? Sometimes I get tired of hearing how great things are because it's going to be 15 or 20 years until we're there. So that doesn't bring me any value,
Yeah.
So I just have to be more careful and more selective, I guess, what I watch. And so I've started doing that, and I feel better. Jack and I talked about it the other day. And sometimes I get nervous about saying stuff like that because it might sound weird to some people in the group or whatever, but it's the truth. And I've always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it's just a graduation. It's a graduation from being a rookie and going into the beginner stage, and dipping your toes into real estate. There's like the three beginner stages, and going in, then switching into grind stage and getting yourself there. But like everyone sitting in this meeting right now is at least halfway, if not further. So we're switching our mindsets into operator stage, and we're having more levers to pull. And it's just that whole mental shift where it's just like, okay, we don't need to hear for the 13th time about how to run comps and buy boxes and just what it is that we need to dial in to be as productive as we can. We got all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, yeah. And, like you're saying, sometimes the best thing to do is just because you keep hearing the same stories, and you feel good for them, but you almost feel bad for them. And the fact that's like, I don't want to hear your success story again. And that's even like I was telling Frank on our phone call. I was like, there's a good chance by the end of this year that I'll hit the FI number, and I almost don't even want to celebrate it because I don't want the people behind us to feel to feel the same thing that I sometimes look at the gurus. It's like I don't want to hear the story again, and I almost don't want to celebrate it because it's like I don't want people behind us to be like, oh well, there's another guy, he did it, but I'm stuck in the beginning of the middle, or we share our victories with you guys in order to try and motivate you and pull you across the finish line with us, and not to try and derail you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I also agree with what you were saying earlier, Frank. I cannot attend all of the accountability calls, not just a specific accountability call, because I host the ones on Saturdays with Cody. I do that for like the fun of talking to everybody every Saturday, just for like an hour. We try to keep it really tight to an hour too, not go over too much. And then I do these calls, but this is about all of the interaction that I have like in the real estate space. I'm not very active in many other things. This is about all I do. There's only so much I can talk about it, but also like, I don't know if you guys feel this way, like when you go to the real estate events now, because I've started to get to the point where like when I went to OREF, for example, the last thing I actually wanted to talk about when I was at the event was real estate. Like, I don't care about my portfolio. I don't really care about your portfolio. I'm trying to talk to you and meet people at the event. You know what I mean? And I found like this is the first year where I was really like, oh, really? Like, I just don't care. Like, I just want to hang out with the people here. I don't care what their portfolio is. I don't want to talk about my portfolio at all because I've talked about it enough. I talked about it on YouTube videos and all kinds of stuff.
I had a private conversation with Cynthia in the hotel room. We just got done hanging out with the group at the container area.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there talking to Cynthia in our room. And I was like, I love hanging out with these people. These people are fantastic. I was like, they're my bread and butter. But I was like, if I had to talk about my portfolio one more time.
Like, what I'm doing is not cool. Tell me about what you're
doing.
doing.
My portfolio? Oh, how rude.
Yeah. You get what I mean, though. Like, it does get really old.
Yeah, I think that was the special part of the event, was all the side conversations. And like you said, I mean, there was a couple where people talked about what they were doing and things like that, but the more valuable part for me was getting to know people and what their lives are like out wherever they live, because we deal with people from all across the country, and just to finally get together and meet them in person and hear their stories outside of their real estate. I think in the beginning, that's kind of how you break the ice, right? Like, what do you invest in or whatever? And then like I got to meet Andy Dickens for the first time and learn about, the house that they're remodeling was his mom's, and that history, and they have, their sons and a daughter, and where they're at in life, and all that stuff was really special. I don't know, again, I'm going to say something that I hope I don't regret, but I think about going to Vegas and not attending the event, but attending the days before and the days after to get together with everybody that we talk to all year long. It seemed like, the event has a special place for new people, I guess. And maybe because we're in the middle, it didn't feel the same, but kind of being, I guess, from Wednesday to Friday, everybody interacting was the special part. And then you were kind of chained down in the event, either sit there and listen to the speakers or wander off somewhere and hope you find somebody to talk to.
Maybe you have ADHD.
Maybe. I'm sure. Well, I have diabetes. Is that the same thing?
No, it's not the same.
And how do you mean? How do you mean that? Because I can't sit still?
Yeah.
Well, I can sit still, not forever because I'm old, but you know what I mean. And I did roam around. And the other part of that is like the first year, I was all over the place, and I felt bad because I left Cynthia sitting by herself, you know, and
Well, I think this year is going to be different, and I think I'm gonna, when I go out, splurge on getting a VIP ticket, because if Dion's running the second stage the whole time, that's like something in addition. So like, if you don't necessarily, like, for example, for me, I I didn't really care so much about what Rob Apasolo had to say, because he's Airbnb. I don't do Airbnb. I'm sure he did a great presentation and stuff, but I went to the back. I was just like, I gave him 15 minutes. I was like, yeah, not getting anything out of this. Time for a coffee break, and I went into the back. But I think, like, under those circumstances, like, the second stage is going to make a huge change. Because it's like, okay, hey, I'm going to go check this out.
Mm-hmm. And there are nuggets, right? But again, the way I think about it is sometimes I don't like to miss things, because you might get something that useful for yourself, but that one thing, 10 or 15 minutes, but you're listening to all this stuff for 5 or 6 hours. So
Exactly, and it could be overwhelming sometimes. And it's like, okay, so are the golden nuggets, like you were saying before, worth the 6 hours of sitting there? And it's just something you have to think about. And if sitting there that long, are you going to even be necessarily in the right frame of mind to accept it too?
Yeah,
Because you waited so long.
one of the biggest takeaways, I think, of the event too, for me, like the first time I went, I don't know, I know Frankie missed it, but was the person that was the YouTube content creator that
I liked him. I forget his name though.
it was not real estate related, right? It was business oriented too. But if I didn't sit down while he was speaking, even though it was nothing related to real estate, I wouldn't have listened to the message, because I'm not exposed to him on YouTube. I guess my algorithm doesn't suggest him. But he said something, content creation as well creation. And even though at the time I had put, like, I started my YouTube channel, I was thinking of it as like something that was just fun, but also like looking at it as something that you can do for an additional stream of income. And I don't think I think I was at the right time, at the right space to hear that message. And the health part journey about Suber, right? That's already not about real estate, but I think having those two guests when I went was like something that propelled me into, like, yeah, why am I not working towards my health? Why am I not working out? Why am I not taking vitamins and supplements? It was like also too, like, other ideas that I took on from the first time that I went to as well that were good.
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree. Are you talking about Sean Cano, the Think Media guy?
That's it. Yeah.
Is it Sean? No, it's
Sean
not.
Cano.
It's not Sean. It was somebody else.
Okay. Yeah, the first year Sean Cannell was there from Think Media, and that's when I talked earlier about different streams of income, turning YouTube into a business, because it's going to take a while, at least for me, to get that 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, right? But there's other ways for us to make money through our YouTube channels, and that's what the other stuff I'm concentrating on right now. So there is,
I think ad monetization is where people always look, but at the end of the day, YouTube as a platform is just a way to garner a bunch of attention, and then you can convert that into whatever you want. If you want to do consulting calls for real estate or something like that, like you could do one-on-one consulting with helping people build their portfolio. Not saying that that's what you want to do. I'm just saying that that's an option. I mean, I think the easiest way to make money on YouTube is to sell something, and I'd say a service. Like if you have some sort of service that you can provide for investors or something like that, I think that's the best.
But I don't think, I mean, like right now, I don't have a service that I'm providing, but I think one of the beautiful things that came out of YouTube was that the person that seller financed me properties watched my videos because, like, I was a, I guess, content creator. I don't know, but like, and that gave them the, I think, without even me introducing myself to him, he's like, oh, this person is like, seems like trustworthy and honest and is not gonna just, kick tenants out or whatever. So I like that's what came out of YouTube already. And without even me trying to sell anything, right? That credibility.
Yeah.
That's something, yeah, I didn't even consider is getting, like Lars said in the chat, like if you get deals sent your way because you're a YouTuber, I mean, there, you're making money from YouTube pretty easily, and that pays a lot more than AdSense, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and you might not even get to the AdSense point, right? I forget what the statistics
Oh,
are, but
Omar El Takori, that's his name.
Omar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, he's another one. But the percentage is pretty low, scale wise, as far as how many people actually start making money through AdSense and stuff. But you mentioned consultation calls. That's one thing that I'm offering now. That was a struggle because I don't know enough to help someone build a portfolio, but I've been through enough to warn them about things that they should look out for before they start. But also, so I'm offering a paid call, and it can be either real estate related or remodeling related. So, I mean, remodeling, I know hands down, right? I know I can help somebody there. But just being confident enough to put that out there was tough. So,
Yeah, I feel like trying to sell something, especially if you're not used to selling, it gives off some sort of feeling. But I don't know. If you have the background for it, I wouldn't be worried about it at all. Like, you've been a general contractor for how long? Like, yeah, you can give people advice on, remodeling their properties and stuff like that. You're going to save them thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in the wrong mistakes or buying the wrong property. So if it's $100 an hour a call or $50 an hour for a call, I mean, it is what it is, because you're going to save them hundreds of multiples of that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I guess the other part to that is to actually do a few calls and get some reviews on, just like you said, that's the thing that kept getting pounded into my head, because I know, so just say my call for 30 minutes is $39.
Mhm.
If I can't save you $39 on that call, something's wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if not by saving you time, because time is valuable as well, but just talking through the whole process of a remodel, I'm sure you would save probably a few $1,000s after the call.
And some people sometimes they just need a soundboard, right? I think like that's what Sugar does good with the portfolio. When you're putting it all together in front of him, and then you're basically telling him like, this is my alligator and this is my good for performing properties, but you actually hearing it from somebody saying it back to you, you're like, oh shit, like that makes sense, that just hearing it after another, you just need that reassurance, the validation, or just like the answer was right in front of you, but until somebody said it back to you, you didn't like completely comprehended it.
Or somebody other than your parents, because we never listen to our parents. But if an aunt or uncle tells us the same thing, oh, why didn't anybody ever tell me that?
I tell people that want their kids to be interested in real estate. I'm like, don't talk to them about it. Send them to me or send them to Lynn to talk about it, and we can tell them how cool real estate is.
I agree 100% of that. If my parents would have told me, oh, you should invest in real estate, I'd be like, okay,
that's stupid. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then you get some random person at an event that's like, did you know that you can like not work and you can just own a bunch of properties?
What?
What? That's crazy.
I do that with my boyfriend too. Like I was like, oh, I talked to his friends about something, and I was like, oh, that I've been telling him this, blah, blah, blah. Do you guys ever talk about this? And then they would it up, and then there's something like, I want to go to South Asia. I want to go to Thailand for the longest time. And we have gone to Europe in the past. And he doesn't want to go because it's too far. It's going to take us too long to travel, but I want to experience South Asia. But now that he's into Muay Thai and his friends want to go to South Asia, now he wants to go to South Asia. I've been telling you this for the last 3 years. Like, what? Don't leave here.
Where are you guys planning on going?
We don't have any plans to go anywhere right now. Those were past trips. Yeah.
Okay.
All you had to do was become a Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah.
He tried to take me to one of the classes, and I was like, this is too aggressive for me. Yeah, I don't like people punching me. Oh, like that's not cool. That's not nice for me.
I don't think anyone likes someone punching them.
Some people do. Some people do.
Yeah.
Some Muay Thai teachers hit you like while you're doing the exercises.
Your punches feel like deep tissue massage to my face.
He's gonna kill me right now if he hears this. Like some coaches hit you.
I see Lars commenting in the chat. He said he was thinking about starting a YouTube channel. The easiest thing is just do it. And then in regards to your consulting calls, Frank, he was saying that I think doing consulting and talking through logistics and prevent people from making mistakes saves them a lot of money. And good afternoon, Gus. How is it going, man?
Yeah.
Hey, Gus.
He came right in when I was saying I don't like people punching me.
Yeah, I think that other part of the struggle is, like you said, Dylan, I don't want to be in a video just sounding like I'm selling something, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was, I'm not like that, and I don't feel comfortable doing that. But it's something you have to get over. If at least you want to just get the information out there, and if nobody buys it, nobody buys it. But if you don't try, you won't know if it's going to work.
On that note, you should drop your link on the chat right here, right now.
Yeah, see if we can get any bookings.
Yeah.
I think the easiest way to do it is like if you're releasing YouTube videos already, just putting it at the end, like, hey, if you need any help with your portfolio or you have any questions and you want to talk to me, like I got the link in the chat. It's $39, but if I suck, just let me know and I'll send you your money back. Something like that.
Yeah, I would feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't save somebody $40, I'm very skeptical that you can't save somebody at least $400 on a call.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's the wrong kind of fridge. You should actually buy this one. That's going to save you $500 or $600. There you go. Bam.
Yeah, you should probably have a system on like, what is that? Did they say like write down the fridge make and model? So if you can, service the parts, then you now have the information instead of going back to the property and looking at the fridge again and things like that. I don't offer appliances, guys, so I don't do that, but I heard about it.
Yeah, we've learned a lot. Like Matt does that really well, documenting all his appliances and the models and things like that, so they know when they send somebody out what they're going to be working on. I think, did they mention too, sometimes they'll have their tenant take a picture of the model and send it to them so they can bring the right parts or things like that.
Which is the first thing that they ask you, like if you ever had any appliances service, the handyman or whatever you're trying to consult, like what kind of fridge do you have? You'd be like, oh, hold on, let me go check.
Yeah, I have started asking the people that live at the properties to send me pictures of stuff instead of going there myself and doing it. Like, hey, I'm going to have some of those trees trimmed. Could you send me that? I know we were talking about having that done. Mm-hmm. They're like, of course.
Yeah, that's pretty smart.
Yeah. Well, now I live 30 minutes away, so I don't want to do it anymore. Sounds like an old Wednesday call talking about appliances. There you go. That was Yasik.
Oh, thank you for my
Jack, did you finish up Lars's property, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I need to make one more trip over there, and I just want to update the smoke detectors and carbon monoxide, make sure everything's ready for the occupancy permit. But besides that, yeah, all the work's done. And I saw when I was doing a walkthrough that there's a couple things I missed in the trim, just a couple of pinholes. So I want to just touch those last few things up while I'm there. But yeah, it's done.
Thanks. There's always something small to do.
You know what? And that's the thing is, I'm my own worst critic when it comes to this kind of stuff. So it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just going to use largest property because we're talking about it. It doesn't matter how many times I walk through it. I'm going to find something wrong with it. Be like, oh, I missed this. This is unacceptable. This slight overlap of the paper or I'm trying to quote Frank's thing from the Golden Nugget. That you can slightly see the seam.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just the contractor eye, and it's too hard to let go.
I'm not like that. I'm like, it's 80% fine. Okay, good enough.
It's done. It's runnable. It's safe. It's good. Show someone in it.
And I'm a woman. I'm supposed to be detail oriented.
Yeah. So Lynn, you've been pretty happy with, well, how much of the actual work have you seen the contractors that have done for you in your places?
Not a lot. I mean, I've seen videos and pictures, but actually in person, maybe I've seen 3 houses rehab. One of the contractors, but when I of my houses, when I went, what I did see was the contractors that I was employing. I wanted them to give me their past projects, so I will drive by their houses, and they will give me the codes, and I will go and check out the quality of the work. And a lot of the quality of the work were like nice. Usually, at least one of the contractors that I have has multiple projects at the same time, and I will like talk to their guys and see how they're doing and everything like that. But yeah. I'm with you, Lynn. Jessica says 80% good. Good. That's a B on my book. Let's go.
If the tenant doesn't bring it up, you're golden.
Yeah.
And I've found, as somebody that's like just done the remodels and stuff myself, I'm really picky when it comes to going through properties. And then my partner will always be like, dude, you do not understand that people do not care as much as you care about this stuff. Like, if it's mostly good, that's all right for like 90% of tenants. And you don't want the other 10% anyways. So it is what it is.
See, and that's the thing I'm really coming to see that my eyes have been open, because like since I've started doing more handyman and work like that type of stuff, there's a lot of properties like 2-3 years ago, I would never have bought, be like, oh no, I wouldn't buy a property like this. It has to be this level of pristine. If it doesn't have diamonds hanging from the ceiling, I can't accept this. And then you go through and you're just like, oh, people are making money with it this way. Wow, I really added a lot of excess years to my real estate investing because I wasn't buying properties that actually cash flow nicely. Instead, I want the ones with the diamond, with the full diamond chandeliers hanging from the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had that guy last year speak, the frugal gay.
Yeah.
I referenced his stuff when I was talking to somebody recently, because they were saying like, I need properties. I want to buy properties of this type. And I'm like, well, what do you have in your area? They're like, well, we don't have those, but we have like these houses that people have converted into multifamily. I'm like, people hate buying those houses. So the smart thing I would think to do would be to look at all of those houses that people hate buying, see the ones that are actually decent and they did the conversions properly, and offer prices that are substantially lower that make your cash flow really high because nobody else wants to deal with it. And I was like, you want to be financially free easily. You have these properties in your backyard. Sorry, they don't have the side-by-side townhome condos that you want, but this is something that you can do that is in your backyard that will make it work. And that's something I kind of have to think of myself sometimes, because like I get to the point where I'm like, oh, I only want the side-by-side duplex with the 2-car garage and blah, 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 blah. But like these conversions work. I mean, I have a conversion myself, and it's the highest cash flowing property that I have. So they have to be done right, though, because they can be really bad. Like if your electric is crossing between the different units and your water lines aren't separated between the units and stuff like that. But yeah, I think his in the thing that I was referencing from him was like, look at the things that nobody else wants and just kind of sort through that, and you can find something that'll work for you. Like it doesn't have to be perfect.
Mhm. Yeah, I think Gus says, keep it cheap and simple for me. All they have to do is make money and be solid appreciation, honestly.
Yeah.
I have done, so I like, for me, it's functional and safe, right? So I have taken out fireplaces because they were open, and then me getting a cover or getting like kids stuck in there, the fireplaces would be a high level liability. Then if I left it open or I fixed out the fireplace, it would look nicer. The space would look nicer, but I cancel those out because for me it just becomes more functionable to just put some drywall there and then cancel out that fireplace as opposed to have like a liability. Would it look nicer? Yeah, probably, but I'm not gonna do that luxury, I guess.
Yeah, I've had people talk about taking out fireplaces. I think the more efficient, cost efficient thing to do is just brick the fireplace so they can't use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they get to use it. It looks cool. Do not light a fire in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think this has been a really good topic though, because I would say the majority of us in ORAT, at least if you went to all the people that I know that went to year 2 and the people that were going to year 1 before me, and then we all went to year 3 together, it seems like we're all in that position where like we're not new. We all have properties, and now we're just working towards, the vision, which it's far away. So for some of us, it's farther than others, but it all depends on how your journey's been, what kind of properties you buy, and everything like that. But yeah, I think it's nice for people to hear like what to do once you're in our phase, because like you don't have to push to grow really hard all the time. Sometimes sitting and waiting is the best thing because the money piles up, and then you can do maintenance items on your properties, or you can focus on reserves like Lynn is doing, or save up and buy a property.
Oh yeah, we can do this question for everybody else that's kind of on the same boat.
Okay, so what kind of content should they be listening to besides real estate?
Mm-hmm.
I pick things that I like. Like I don't watch real estate YouTube videos. Love Michael Zuber. I'll watch some of his videos sometimes. Like I'll catch up on the daily financial news, like when there's CPI or something like that. But outside of that, I tend to watch like programming YouTube videos. I watch videos of people going to different countries. Like I've been looking at going to Montreal, Canada for a vacation. Like I thought that would be really fun. Or I've been looking at like Alaskan cruises and stuff like that too. So yeah, just whatever you enjoy. You can watch real estate videos if you want. I just got burnt out looking at real estate stuff all the time. I love to do it. I just can't, like all the content I watch, all the things I do and all the people I talk to, it can't all be real estate all the time.
I personally started watching. I listen to real estate while I'm at work because it's something you can listen to and follow along with. Anything else is kind of anything else I watch. You need the video in order to understand to follow through. But I watch a lot of DIY stuff, and lately, because some different things that are going on, I'm seriously thinking about converting the Silverado into a like a mild overlanding setup. So I'm thinking about redoing the front bumper. I'm not going to do anything suspension wise. It's good enough for what I need, but I just need a slightly more ground clearance. And the biggest way to achieve the extra 3 inches instead of a lift is to literally just get a smaller profile bumper. And I'm thinking about hooking finishing up the cap that I've been working on and doing some solar panels and a shower system up there. And that's the kind of stuff I've been watching. But if you're talking about what you should be watching as far as like for people that are in the 5 to 10 years, the big thing is at that point is not so much what you should be watching, it's making sure you're keeping your connections with the network that you have established. So like for PE turned RE, we all know who that is. You know, you have probably everyone in this video's phone number, you know, making sure you're reaching out and talking to all of us because of the fact that we are, you know, we're part of your network. And, we go and support each other. I think in this stage, it's more important to keep your connections and be talking to people that are in the same route because none of us can talk about things that we don't necessarily know because we're all in this right now. And I think that's why it gets overlooked so much is because the gurus, this isn't the exciting part of the journey. Like this is just the head down moment, the just get through the last few years. And there's nothing really exciting that's going on. And that's why this part of the journey gets overlooked so much. But the beginning is exciting and the end is exciting. But the middle isn't because we've already built our systems and our processes and we're just trying to wrap things up. So it's important for us to just support each other, just, using the little black box I'm talking to right now, call a cell phone, and just making sure that you're keeping your connections and talking to people.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I watch a lot of like life advice in general, and not just life about what I wish I would do in my 30s, what I wish I would do in my 40s, whatever. Now that I'm at 50, whatever I wish I would have done before. That a lot because just people that have their knowledge and they just not talk about like life in general. They also talk about business or the chances they did take or they didn't take. So I like watching that. But I also like last year I concentrated more on I wanted, like, all of you guys are great, but you guys are all online. So I wanted more like physical friends to go and hang out and then not talk about real estate all the time too. Like talk about like the weather or Trump or whatever, right? And then so I can go and do activities too. So like Saturdays and Sundays, even though I have these lives going on, I still schedule time to hang out with like other people and in person and just basically have different aspects of my personality as well.
See, and that's the thing I'm really excited about, and that's going back to what I was saying about the mild overlanding setup for the Silverado. I'm excited about next year being able to travel to different parts of the country and seeing some of these people in the ORAC community that we've been talking to for years and actually being able to hang out and stuff and just popping in for like a day or two and then popping over to somewhere else and stuff. That's the thing I'm looking forward to most.
I think that would be great to be able to do that. That's one thing that we've talked about that we would enjoy as well. I think going back to Curtis's question, I think I took it the same way Jack did. And like we were saying, there's not a lot of content that's valuable for us where we're at now in our journey. So what other real estate content would we watch to help us progress? There's not a lot. That's why you're talking about this today. There's not a lot out there. I think one thing, and I've tried to do that as well, if we're going through something in our portfolio that we haven't experienced yet, take that question and bring it up, to you guys or someone else who's having a live or whatever, or, get a hold of Dion or whoever can help us answer that question because there isn't too much content. And I like too what you said, Jack, about that was one of my fears backing off of social media so much, was that not that I would be forgotten, but that when I do pop in to ask a question, people might think, oh, he's only coming here when he needs something, right? So you don't want people to think of you that way either. But I think the people in the group that matter wouldn't think of it that way, right? there might be some
Mhm.
people that think of it that way, but those people aren't important to us or whatever. But so I think there's a fine balance. So
Frank is unfiltered today.
I'm always walking that line.
Jessica says, nobody wants to hang out with me in person. They say I have too much energy.
No. I don't want to go to New Jersey. That's
There are programs out there to pair you up with friends. I did that last year. I felt like I didn't have enough women in my life, and I felt like I've been hanging out with you guys too much. So I needed some estrogen. And then I signed up for like this pair called Real Roots Project Program, and it's about women in leadership. And I got a lot of friends from that that I still hang out with.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think I've ever really done anything else. I don't know. I kind of just pick up people from like everywhere that I work. So like loan officers, real estate agents. I work with software engineers, and I'm just like, what's up? We're gonna hang out now. So that's kind of how I've built my friends group. I don't think I've ever like done anything intentional about it though, like going to events. But I guess if you're super busy, you may not have the time to like hang out with just people, like realtors and random people, to be able to build up the relationships, I guess, to be friends with them. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for me it's hard because I think I'm like in my office, I'm director almost. So everybody kind of looks up to me or looks up at me for answers. So there's like a different dynamic in which I can just be like, oh, let's go to lunch, because that would be almost like favoritism. And then I direct a lot with one-on-one persons, clients. So also mental health clients. It's not like I can become friends with my clients as well. And I commute a lot. So I'm in my car a lot by myself. So that I think limits the amount of people that I'm subjected to. When probably before I used to work in hospital systems, when you have like 300 people all the time talking to you all the time, and now my like setting is totally different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm glad I have you guys, because I don't need any local friends. You know, I don't need it to go hang out with anybody or anything like that.
You have your best friend, Cynthia.
Yeah, she's always here with me. She's always got me. But I mean, outside of that, you know.
That's a nice way of saying he's tired of that one sometimes.
Well, I was going to talk to you later about this, Jack, but when you were talking about Cynthia in your hotel room, I was hoping
Yeah.
you meant your Cynthia and not my Cynthia.
It's like Jessica says, if you just talk to people, you would make friends. Yes, but at the same time, like I want a specific kind of friends. I want some people that are positive, people that are like not complainers, people that are just like, you know, you talk to people all the time, and then you get turned off by people all the time. So it's just
Yeah. No, I've definitely talked to quite a few people where I'm like, I don't really like this personality. I mean, they're kind of nice, but like, I can find a different friend.
right.
Mhm.
Lynn, when you're out talking to people, you mentioned like not really caring to talk about real estate and stuff, but realistically, how often does that happen? Because I know when I'm out talking to people, I never talk about real estate and it never comes up. Does it come up for you?
I think as I post on Instagram a lot, so people ask me a lot about it randomly.
Oh, okay.
So that's why.
I don't know. I
Bring your
don't
people at Costco. I don't think I will have anything in common with anybody at Costco.
Hey, Costco's pretty sweet. That's where I get my Red Bulls by the 36 pack.
36. Okay. On that note, I think this was a good call.
Pretty good point to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So if you like to comment on this video, if you like to talk about any particular topic, please leave it in the comments and then we'll consider your request.
and we bring guests on,
Yeah.
just like Frank. So, got anything interesting you want to talk about, you can reach out to us. We're all on Instagram and in the school community. So,
Yeah.
reach out.
Well,
Bye.
hopefully they'll want to come back after I'm here. Thank you guys for the invite.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for being here.
anytime.